Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, breaking down all of the latest rumors around the Vikings, and we begin with one of the more notable NFL stories right now. That is the release of James Bradberry and if he could join the Minnesota Vikings. Now remember, the Vikings had somewhat been linked as a potential Bradberry destination before they had re-signed Patrick Peterson, before they drafted Andrew Booth all earlier on this offseason. The Giants had tried to trade Bradberry. They failed to do so, finally releasing him on Monday. The reports are from Ian Rappaport and others that the Giants had agreed to trade parameters with teams. They had offers, but those teams were unable to work out a renegotiated contract with Bradberry. In the end, he ends up getting cut, and now we explore if he's still a fit for Minnesota. The big reason why the Giants moved on from Bradberry, he wasn't as good this year. There's no way around it in the sense that he played awesome in 2020 as their defense moves to more and more man coverage, where in general Bradberry tends to struggle. He wasn't a fit. And the big red flag is he got paid, had a great first year. This next year, though, although the completion percentage remains almost identical and the interception pass breakup's the same, the targets go up, but the yards and touchdowns allowed at a more extreme rate. The touchdowns double from 4 to a troubling 8, and the yards from 587 to 848. That production was not particularly great for Bradberry. Now he's a free agent. I do believe he is a starting caliber corner in the NFL, so I'm always open to adding those types of players, but specifically for Minnesota, who are you benching and really outright not playing if you add James Bradberry? Patrick Peterson's your vet. You've got young guys in Cam Dantzler, Andrew Booth, even Caleb Evans, who's been a fourth-round pick on, and Chandon Sullivan is your nickel corner. And maybe Perry Nickerson makes your roster, other depth, etc. There's no doubt that James Bradberry would be one of your 5 best corners or 6 best corners, whatever it is, on your roster. That is not in doubt whatsoever. But you have to manage the money you have to pay Bradberry, probably a decent chunk of change, and maximizing your investments already made. I want to see what Andrew Booth can do. Second-round pick out of Clemson by Minnesota. I loved where they got him. The level of capital spent on him indicates starter, if not in year 1, at least in year 2. Bradberry, although he would probably help your defense, would prevent you from utilizing your second most important offseason addition in terms of draft capital spent. So I don't know if the timing makes as much sense as it once did even a month ago. But we're a show for the people, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Would you sign James Bradberry? Y for yes or N for no? This question is actually going to be our pinned comment on today's video. So if by chance the ad plays, before we talk more about Bradberry here, and I'll give you some more of my thoughts, the ad plays, take advantage of it. Head down to the pinned comment, type Y for yes, N for no. If he's cheap, of course I'm not going to say no. If I could get James Bradberry on a 1-year vet deal, let's ride. I don't think he's going to go for that limited amount of money. And I want to see what Booth can do early on. I thought I was lower than most on Andrew Booth this draft class, second-round grade, but he was still rated higher than where the Vikings took him. So I loved that pick. You have Cam Dantzler. You have Patrick Peterson. I don't see corner as the same level of need as it was not that long ago. It is still a potential red flag if the young guys don't impress, but you've got the preseason, you've got training camp, you've got all of those things still in a position to handle and manage. So because of your investments at the cornerback position, I am still down to have them on my roster, to utilize those corners and pass for the time being on James Bradberry. Today's show, well, we got a sportsbook partner with you guys today. That is BetUS. And if you want to bet on maybe some golf or maybe some NBA action and, of course, NFL futures bets, do it with BetUS. Use promo code CHAT125 for a 125% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/bet, and the promo code is CHAT125. We put down at least $100. They're going to give you an extra 125% deposit bonus. It is the best sports betting deal out there. And the Vikings right now are the second highest favorite to win the division. Maybe if The lack of Devontae Adams causes the Packers to fall apart. Minnesota, decent value there, plus 275. The Bears and Lions per BetUS, not even in the conversation. So if you haven't gotten started with our sportsbook partner, go do it today. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is chat125. Let's talk potential releases. Some interesting names being floated out there. First up, Garrett Bradbury. Vikings territory, one of the fan sites, they listed him as a surprise cut candidate. And I can only speak for myself, of course. I would be surprised if the Vikings cut their current starting center. The move saves a grand total of $0. It leaves a $4.1 million cap hit if you were to cut Bradbury. In essence, what you are doing is taking $4 million and throwing it in the trash and saying, we don't want it anyway. Look, it is do or die time for the former first-round pick out of NC State. I think this is a talented player in terms of his upside still for where he was drafted. The issue is he has struggled with power. He has not become the type of player that anyone was hoping for after being the number 18 overall pick back in 2019. But in addition to the money committed, even though Bradbury struggles against power, he is a perfect scheme fit for what this team wants to do, I believe, under new head coach Kevin O'Connell. And if you're cutting Garrett Bradbury, who's your new center? The article mentioned Ed Ingram. It's cool. He's been a second-round pick on him. Never played center. So you could move him there. That's fine. But Reed and Davis and Aliudo and Wyatt Davis, Jesse and Wyatt Davis there, I think they're more guards than they are centers. So maybe you could explore a position change. I'm fine with that. But I don't see an obvious, this is our replacement on the roster at this moment. There are guards and then Bradbury. So you've paid him. He's locked onto your roster from a salary cap hit perspective. Now, if you want to go sign J.C. Tretter, that's a different conversation. I would still probably just keep Garrett Bradbury because a backup at $4 million is better than no backup at $4 million. So what would you guys do? K for keep, C for cut, or T for trade. The trade, maybe you get a pick back. That might start making some sense, and you actually do save money in that scenario. So let me know what you would do with Garrett Bradbury, K, C, or T. We actually went through some recent cut and trade candidates on the channel. Some names that I think make more sense than the Bradbury one and the one we're about to get to in a minute. So if you haven't already, go check it out. That's what the video thumbnail looks like. And make sure you're subscribed to us here at Minnesota Vikings Now. That way you don't miss out on any video that we do. This cut one also is interesting. How about dumping Patrick Peterson? That comes to us from Bleacher Report. They went through one big-name player each team could cut. Their selection was Patrick Peterson, who, of course, as we all know, signed a one-year deal to return as the number one corner for the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. He got a one-year, $4 million deal, which is fully guaranteed. So once again, if you cut Peterson, just like if you cut Bradbury, you're taking $4 million and lighting it on fire and saying, we don't want the money, which is weird, not how NFL teams operate. Here's what Bleacher Report wrote. And the argument was, the Vikings didn't know who would be available. Okay. Now that we know Andrew Booth was added in the second round, the Vikings can move on from Peterson. Cam Dantzler, an up-and-coming young talent coming off his best season yet. And Peterson turns 32 in July. Playing Peterson in his declining years brings almost no value. Adolfo Mensa has almost no financial incentive to cut Peterson, since the Vikings saved just $382,000 with $2.75 million in dead cap. However, the mix of opening playing time for Booth and allowing Peterson to find another opportunity is enough to justify moving on. Peterson could catch on with a contender elsewhere if an injury opens playing time. I don't know about that one there. That's not a very convincing argument as far as I'm concerned. You've got a situation where you have no really veteran corners on your roster beyond maybe Chandon Sullivan, and you have paid $4 million. The savings comes from making it a post-June 1st cap move, so you're eating dead money next year. You owe him $4 million no matter what. His deal was entirely fully guaranteed. This doesn't make sense for an organization trying to win football games right now. I want to get Andrew Booth on the field. I can do that and still have Patrick Peterson on my team. Frankly, I want that veteran presence out there. We'll spend some more time on Pat Pete, but I want you to chime in the comments section with a player it actually makes sense to cut. I don't think Peterson or Bradbury fit that mold. I think you guys can mention some better ones in the comments right now. Look, I don't think Patrick Peterson is in his prime anymore. I think his numbers have begun to decline, but he can still play a nice role for you at minimum as your number 3 outside corner in the hypothetical scenario that Dantzler and Booth ball out and they dominate. They become your number 2, number 1, in whatever order you want to put them in as your youthful outside pieces. But you are trying to win football games right now. That has been the clear message from this organization. They want to win now, and especially in a not-so-great NFC and NFC North. There is value to having Peterson on your field as a veteran player, as a reliable option who you know is good. You don't know if Booth is great yet, and Peterson was better than Dantzler last year. So not to body Bleacher Report too much, but I don't agree at all with the idea of cutting Patrick Peterson.